Alright, let's do this. Meet Seth Hynes. He's an old friend of mine, all the way back to my earliest days on YouTube. If you've been around that long, you probably remember him as QUANTUMJOKER. Maybe you remember when we teamed up to show the world why Confused Matthew was a dum-dum about 2001: A Space Odyssey. Maybe you remember the Roundtable Review. Oh, okay, yeah, you don't remember Roundtable Reviewers. Now, Seth Hynes is a busy man. He still does regular movie reviews on his channel, QUANTUMJOKER, but he's the weekly film critic for the Mountain Views Mail's newspaper and has written pieces for MX, Cosmos, Deacon's University Student Magazine, and Data Extract, the official magazine of the Doctor Who Club of Australia. Suffice to say, he's been a lot more successful than me, and nothing that follows is because I'm super jealous or anything, okay? Last year, Seth wrote a Doctor Who novel called PreMeds, a multi-Doctor season, and he's been trying to get me to read it and talk about it on this channel. I have been rather hesitant to do so, for a few reasons. First off, I'm not a fanfiction reviewer. That's not really my thing, and I don't want to give the impression that I actually want to read and review fanfiction, especially since I keep getting messages about that Animorphs fanfiction project I said might happen, but probably totally isn't going to happen. I'm more than open to reviewing your original works. If you want to send me a review copy of a book you've written, I will do an honest review of the work on this channel, free of charge. I've already done a few already. The novella Cargo 3120 and the erotic anthology Heart, Body, Soul. Those were review copy reviews. But what do you even say to fanfiction? I've had people send me their fanfiction before, looking for feedback, and I draw a blank. Thanks for giving me your writing practice. Keep practicing. Let me know when you produce something of your own. Now, I'm not opposed to the idea of fanfiction. I have no qualms with people playing around in fictional universes. It's just, how do you effectively critique that? It's like being critical of the stories kids make up with their action figures. Now, Lucy, you can't just have Raphael and SpongeBob be friends right off the bat. There's no drama in that. There's no conflict. Your characters need to develop at a realistic pace. And Rainbow Bright is such a weak antagonist. Her motives don't make any sense. So why make an exception here, besides Seth being a buddy? Well, Doctor Who is kinda 70% fanfiction anyway. By the 1980s, the people running the property were people who grew up watching the show. Doctor Who fanzines full of fan-written fiction was pretty commonplace, and when the Virgin New Adventures rolled around, some of those fan-fiction writers became legit writers for what was considered Doctor Who's official continuation. Paul Cornell even directly adapted one of his fanzine stories and turned it into Time Worm Revelation. The Doctor Who books lines had an open-door policy for fresh writers, and outside of that, fan protections didn't end. A number of actually somehow legit video productions with Doctor Who characters were produced in the 1990s, the legalese of which I will no doubt cover in great detail on Crossing the Wilderness someday. Big Finish got its start doing fan productions, and after a few years it became an officially licensed producer of Doctor Who content. In fact, PreMeds is tied somewhat to Illusionist Productions, which is our current source for unlicensed Doctor Who fan audio productions. Seth has written and performed for them, and according to the foreword in PreMeds, this book's origins came from a pitch made to Illusionist Productions for a season of stories. But they already had 4 concurrent audio productions and a 5th would have slowed things down, so Seth took his ideas and turned them into this here book. So yeah, it's fan fiction, but with Doctor Who, fan fiction is a bit more of a legit market than it is with most properties. That's one reason I'm hesitant to cover this. Another is that, as well, I was originally asked to contribute to this production, write a story or two for the anthology. But when Seth pitched me the premise, it really wasn't my cup of tea. And it still isn't. And that's kind of the big problem here. I didn't care too much for this, and I'm about to explain why, pretty directly, to one of my oldest and best friends, why that is. This isn't a wonderful feeling, and I'm never doing this again. So, what is PreMeds? PreMeds takes place in an alternate timeline where there were 3 incarnations, 3 regenerations, before William Hartnell's first Doctor, which in turn makes Christopher Eccleston's Ninth Doctor actually the 13th Doctor, because we don't number John Hurt or... Anyway, the first Doctor is now a peppy, optimistic college student, the second Doctor is a grouchy postgrad, and the third Doctor is a stay-at-home mom. Now, I've never cared for the idea of the Doctor going on adventures prior to an unearthly child. I don't mind glimpses into the Doctor's childhood or the history of Gallifrey, but to suggest that the Doctor was the hero we know him today before the events of the show's first episode is just wrong. This was a role he grew into, starting with the moment Ian stopped the Doctor from bashing in a helpless man's head with a rock. That was something the Doctor thought was right to do once upon a time. The first Doctor started off as an asshole. PreMeds doesn't really comment on that. The Doctor isn't a big hero to start with, only because this book starts him off as a very young student, running Weeping Angel simulations on his Oculus Rift when his class isn't taking field trips to the Big Bang. This excited me initially. A book about babyface Doctor and his days at Time Lord Hogwarts has some untapped potential, but then the Doctor gets involved tracking down a group smuggling the elixir of life from the Sisterhood of Karn, which results in him A, meeting a member of the Sisterhood, falling in love, and boning her in an underground lake, we'll get back to that, and B, him getting stabbed in the neck and regenerating into Oscar the Grouch. After that, the university setting is left behind, and it's pretty straightforward Doctor Who adventures from then on. This 209-page book is formatted like a short story anthology that gradually morphs into a single ongoing narrative, and I do like that. It's my favorite way to do anthologies, where you know all of this is going somewhere, but you can't possibly suss it out until patterns start emerging. The anthology that becomes a novel. I really dig it. The grumpy second Doctor, or the -2 Doctor as the book comes to call him, only has 2 adventures of his own. An alternate history story where Russia doesn't become a communist state and ends up conquering Australia, and another where the Doctor meets the Ood for the first time. This is very much a New Who influenced product, with pretty much all the non-original antagonists originating from that period, minus the Daleks, who have a small background role. The Weeping Angels, Possessed Ood, the Silence, these are heavy hitters. Not that there isn't a lot of classic Who references. We get cameos from the Warlords, Light, Ace, some others. This is, without question, a for Doctor Who fans only work, which is pretty common in fanfiction, yes, but the book proves that it's capable of interesting original ideas, so the fact that it felt it needed to lean on these reruns is a bit disappointing. The best story in the lot, at least in my opinion, is Medusa, the first story of the third Doctor, or the -1 Doctor, however you want to figure it. It's a mystery plot about a city whose populace turns to stone for a few hours every week while 2 superpowered beings have destructive Matrix fights. It's the kind of high-concept, bonkers plots that Doctor Who excels at, albeit with kind of an oversimplified solution. Well, thank God this future alien civilization programmed that robot with Asimov's 3 laws makes it easy. Actually, for beings with the technology to turn an entire city civilization to stone, they aim really low. They have, this amazing war tech, and instead they're doing the things that I won't bother spoiling. That brings me to another point. I don't really feel like the Doctor earns a lot of these victories. There are usually some easy exploits, or the solution just falls into their lap. Okay, so in one story, the -2 Doctor is walking around Russia-owned Australia, and he gets captured. Some people think he's a British spy, to which the Doctor responds, "That's racist." Britain isn't a race. But moving on, he gets put into this cell. Meanwhile, there's a monster running around the outback. The Doctor asks his guard to let him go, and the guard lets him go. The Doctor doesn't appeal to the guard's better nature. He doesn't negotiate or threaten or promise. He goes, "Look, I can stop this." He does that once, and the guard is all, okay, sure. Other characters sacrifice themselves to absolve the Doctor of conflict, or something turns out to be a VR simulation. I never really got the sense that the Doctor was struggling against evil. So we have the -1 Doctor, and it's a female incarnation of the character, something that people are kind of jonesing for at this point, since regeneration allows for random change in gender. This is the most promising aspect of this book, and frankly, was the most disappointing, though my reasons are large and convoluted, so bear with me. PreMeds is an R-rated Doctor Who story. It's in no way explicit, but there is some random cursing and sexual content. The cursing, at the very least, feels unnecessary. It's more explicit here than even in the Virgin New Adventures, which is a series built on the idea of dark, gritty Doctor Who. You got Time Lords asking, "What is this fucking rubbish?" People yell, "Fuck you!" at the Doctor. Even the Doctor himself drops an F-bomb at one point. It's not that I believe in the sanctity of family media or that I'm opposed to four-letter words as much as my dad wishes otherwise. It's just that it doesn't accomplish anything besides drawing attention to itself. Hey, look, I made the doctor say fuck. See what I did? And then there's the sexual content, which isn't pornographic or anything, and it's not explicitly unnecessary, because the back half of this book is about the doctor's family life and their role as a parent. Since this is not a continuity with looms, that means the doctor has to get busy with a lady friend, in this case Athena, a member of the Sisterhood of Karn. He unknowingly gets her pregnant, regenerates twice, and comes to find Athena giving birth to their daughter, Susan. Yes, that's Susan. It's... Okay, there's a lot to unpack here, but can I just say what I thought this book was leading up to at this point? This is not a criticism, by the way, it's just what my thought process was when this element was introduced. You probably know of Susan as the doctor's granddaughter, not the doctor's daughter. So I thought this was leading to a twist where it turned out that this was the story of the doctor's kid, that the doctor here was actually Dr. Jr., and maybe at the end of the book they die and their father, the doctor we know, takes their child's name in tribute and starts taking care of Susan. I mean, that's perfect, right? It would directly address any nitpicky character discrepancies because it would be a completely new character from the Doctor, who maybe curses more than their dad does. It would put the book in a very undocumented part of the Doctor Who mythos, namely who was Susan's parents and what was their deal. And I feel exploring the unexplored is kind of the point of fanfiction. That's the kind of good it can do for a franchise. But no, that's not what's going on here. The Doctor's just like, well, I've regenerated since she was conceived, so maybe I'm technically her grandparent now? Which, A, is lame, B, is not how it works, and C, we have two Gallifreyan characters who seem confused by the semantics of it. Guys, Time Lords have been regenerating and having kids for generations. The terminology of the family unit should be codified by this point. But I'm getting off track. We have the woman doctor, and yes, the first thing the character addresses is her new genitals, like this is Ranma 1/2. She has one adventure, finds out she has a daughter, and then she and Athena settle down. The doctor turns into a woman, and almost immediately retires from adventuring to raise children. But hey, at least we get the woman doctor in a same-sex relationship, but not really. Something the book addresses once the Doctor and Athena are reunited is that through regeneration, the Doctor's sexual orientation has switched from being attracted to women to being attracted to men. First off, for decades the Doctor has been written with having no sexual drive whatsoever, and today he still really doesn't. It's implied he's had sex, but the Doctor's never sought out sexual relationships. River's song just kind of fell into his lap, so to speak. Which isn't to say that he hasn't sought out romantic relationships, and at least during the Russell T Davies era, his romantic relationships were not necessarily confined to any one gender. I'm sure some disagree, but I feel most people involved on the creative side of Doctor Who today sees the Doctor as a pan-romantic asexual, which is to say a character not interested in sex with anyone, but open to romantic relationships with anyone of any gender. And that's kind of where this version of the Doctor ends up with Athena. They're still in a romantic relationship, but are now sexually incompatible. But why? If the reason is to restrain yourself from writing lesbian porn, then just don't write lesbian porn. I don't think anyone's gonna care if you didn't show us the Doctor scissoring some girl. The only other reason is to maintain a sense of heteronormativity. Guys like girls, girls like guys, so when a guy becomes a girl, that means she now likes guys. It's like, the book wants to explore what the Doctor would be like as a woman, but it also wants to explore the Doctor's family life with their children, but that means you now have this relationship between two women, so we need to stamp a big fat no homo over it to keep things in line. But it doesn't stop there. Seth, please understand. I'm just trying to be a reviewer here. So the Doctor and Athena are not in a same-sex sexual relationship, but they're still in a same-sex partnership raising a child together. And the place they decide to settle down in to raise Susan is 1963 England. Because if there was ever a time period open to a same-sex couple raising a child, it's the early 1960s. Granted, the UK was a bit nicer to lesbian couples and gay couples during that time, but why even bother dealing with those attitudes? Given the choice of all of time and space, you have a TARDIS. And this is the environment you want to raise your child in? Of course these issues are not addressed. I doubt these issues were considered. And I know why 1963, that's when the series started. But outside of its metafictional significance to Doctor Who fans, there's not a single good reason to be here. So you have the Doctor become a woman and immediately settle down. You have her in a same-sex relationship, except not really, no homo, but really enough that settling down in certain time periods can be problematic, but hey, if we don't bring it up, it's like the problem isn't even there. The Doctor becomes a complacent housewife in the 60s. What? How does that happen? How is that allowed to happen? I don't think this was malicious. I know Seth. I don't think Seth thinks that women shouldn't be time-traveling adventure seekers, that women should settle down with a man and stay at home all day. I think this is a result of a handful of conflicting ideas interacting with each other in unfortunate ways, but it still should have been recognized. And it sinks this thing. It sinks PreMeds straight to the bottom of the ocean. And there's things to like here. It has a few cool ideas. I like how the TARDIS in this book has a working chameleon circuit, and we see the Doctor dealing with the TARDIS's many varied disguises, some even light enough to be portable. That's fun. The Doctor sneezes out a cloud of nanomachines. That's a fun visual. But the work ultimately lacks a certain maturity. The only thing this alternate timeline suggests is that having the Ninth Doctor die at the end of the Parting of the Ways would suck. Other than that, it's just a couple of short adventures where the Doctor curses but couldn't possibly be gay. Seth, I really hope it's understood. I like you, I consider you a good friend, and I hope that remains true in the future, but I didn't like this. I really just didn't like it at all. And that's why I dragged my feet on this project for so long. Still, PreMeds is available for free online. I'll provide a link in the description if anybody watching this still wants to check it out. If anything, read Medusa. That story's fun enough on its own, but I can't recommend the whole book. I do recommend Seth's channel. His film reviews are quick and insightful, and he also has some interesting fiction there as well, including some really well-produced Life is Strange audio dramas. Oh god, okay, God, I feel like such a shit. I'm never doing this again.
El plauso